Okay, guys, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose qualifiers for the American region, as we now have a lower bracket game after Major, spoiler alert, was able to, well, never mind, was able to advance through in first place, well, one of the first places in this qualifier to the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose. Now we see ViOLet, his previous opponent, drop down into the lower bracket, and he's going to be facing off against Bails.
Bails has had a bit of a rough run so far today. He's had a lot of PvZ to go through. He started off with a 2-0 win over EG's Suppy, but then lost 0-2 to Scarlet. He beat Intense in the last round, and now that means he's up against ViOLet. So Bails is a bit of a roller coaster of up and down so far tonight. This is going to be interesting. I haven't seen Bails play in a long time.
No, I haven't either, to be honest with you. I think maybe I saw one of his games during the previous, like, Stage 1 qualifiers for this, but other than that, not a huge amount. And ViOLet, we all know, like, how he can be pretty crazy in this matchup as well if he really wants to be. And the funny thing is that with how much we just saw his Roach Hydra in his versus Terran, he could happily just do it here as well and just do the exact same thing and be totally happy as well. But let's get into game number 1 as we have King Sage on station, our first map. Spawning up to the top left, it's our red Zerg. As always, it is ViOLet. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, it's our blue Protos, representing Flipside. I think that's the name of them.
Yep.
It's Bails.
Flipside has a pretty cool logo. I like their logo a lot.
It's nice. It's nice. There are some bad logos in esports, and this is not one of them. So there you go.
Indeed, yes. I don't know, man. Love Your Girlfriend had a pretty good logo.
What was that logo?
It was like a black rose.
Oh yeah, it was. It was. I guess for the Lotharios out there, it's probably kind of cool, but sorry. No. There you go.
All right. Well, Bails looks like he's going to be opening with a Gateway Expand. The big question for now is it going to be Nexus Gateway or Gateway Nexus? Well, over on the other side, I'm really interested to see how ViOLet opts to play this out. As you mentioned, he can go Roach Hydra very, very fine in this matchup. It's more standard and considered more viable by more people than it is in the last matchup that we saw. So he can happily do that here too. It's going to be a gateway first from Bails.
Not too bad. I don't mind this too much. And overall, on the other side of things, Mr. ViOLet grabbing himself that hatchery first. I think he feels pretty comfortable on this map because of how quickly the Overlord gets over there. Of course, it's a pretty good cannon rush map, actually, with some really annoying positions behind these mineral line. And even in front of the mineral line, sometimes you see pylons go down as well. But ViOLet, he's probably had to deal with that kind of crap a million times, so...
Yeah, especially laddering on the NA server.
yeah, maybe.
Well, we'll have to see exactly what Bails is going to be going for here. Going for the Cyber Core now. Oh, it's going to be 3 hatchery before pool here out of ViOLet, and I really, really like this decision. If you don't see a scout coming across the map, you can generally assume that it's not going to be a Forge Fast Expand, and 3 hatchery before pool is very, very good against Gateway first, because there's really no way to punish it right away.
Yep, that poor Zealot, yes, he can get out and try and move, but unfortunately he's not going to go over there anytime soon. It's never ever going to really do anything, so he's just going to sit around at the natural, make sure nothing crazy is going on there, because actually Bails didn't even go down there to check anything, so anything could have been going on down there.
Bails is pretty lucky that there's no hatchery block down here. It's something we saw Scarlet doing quite a bit earlier.
Yep, and for now Nexus will be on the way. But overall, the Zealot's just very, very content in whacking away at the plates down at the bottom. And again, Bails actually is not going to have a clue about this entire opening for quite a long time. He's not even sending out a probe to scout at the moment.
Yeah, on the other hand, generally when you see this, the best way to play against a 3-4 pool is just to play standard anyway and just kind of acknowledge that you're behind. I would like to see 4-gate aggression. That's a great way to try to deal with the 3 hatchery before pool opening, because with so many resources tied up in queens and hatcheries, you're forced to produce slings and sort of stick around 30-ish drones for a while until you've actually dealt with that, which kind of negates the fast 3 hatcheries. But we'll have to see if that's what we have out of Bails here. And with 2 gases, it's not likely that he's going to be applying too much pressure. And there's a Stargate coming right on down. Ooh. You know what else is pretty good? Oracles are pretty good against 3 hatch pool openings.
Yeah, that can work out pretty nicely. He's even walled this off to include the Vespian Geyser, and that Zealot will plant itself in a nice spot. But the thing is that this Overlord is going to see everything pretty fast. So Oh, he didn't actually poke forwards a little bit further.
Oh,
That's
man.
kind of a shame.
This is bad luck overlord. He's basically the most useless scout.
Yeah.
Especially like seeing the forge as well is like a sign like that can tell you, oh, the tech he's going for is forge and not Stargate.
Yeah. I think the Lynx could even just poke at the front though and eventually see it, but it will be a little bit later than the obvious time that he wanted to.
Is it going to be Oracle? Is it going to be Phoenix? That's my big question right now. Straight to Phoenix.
Okay.
So not opting for the Oracle here. And Phoenix is the safer route. Gets you map control a little bit earlier.
Jeez, 10 drones on the way already. These Lynx poke up, see Phoenix in production,
Yeah.
and all he has to do now is make a few...
oh, man.
Wait a minute. He has no units.
This is really brutal. He can't move the...
He has one
Zealot.
sentry. So, a force... he has one force field.
Whoa, that was a really bad force field out of Bails, actually. And he's going to try to hold the probe. 3 Lings get in. They'll get a little bit of damage done. 1 worker kill already. 1 gets into the main. The rest get through, too. This is already... I mean, it's not a disaster, but this is really worth it here for our Zerg player. He's doing quite a bit. These lanes are going to get on through, forcing another Zealot warp one, forcing the probes to be pulled off of mining as well. This is doing quite a lot.
Yeah, if you look at the mineral income right now, I mean, that really did tell a story whilst all of those probes were pulled off the line just there. Yes, you'll get a few overlords, but that'll be replenished super fast by the already 52 workers that we're seeing out of ViOLet. And the Lings, well, technically, along with the overlords, have bought time for the Phoenix to just sit back at home.
And you have to think about this as well. Like, as you mentioned, his drone count is already so high because if you're playing against a 3-hatch-4 pool with a Gate Cybercore Nexus opening, you really cannot afford any economic setbacks. And what we have here is a gigantic economic setback, which is Bails is going to try to offset that with a very early third base coming down around the 8-minute mark. And overall, from here, there's not really all too much that can be done.
And the... Yeah, getting very close there to losing one of those Phoenix. But if ViOLet were to get a whiff of that base down to the bottom left-hand corner, we've got to remember that all of this is still off 1 gateway. How are you supposed to defend that location if there was a flood of units?
Yeah, at this point, there's no speed yet, but it's on the way. And with no additional gateways in production, the speed would be done before the gateways were at this point.
Yeah.
So with the Hydra then coming in, we could be seeing a very, very strong Ling Hydra timing, and with still only 1 gateway, no Robo yet complete.
Console before extra gateways.
I think he wants to go for maybe he's going into like a Blink playoff 3-base with 10 gateways, but that's not going to match up very well against a Ling Hydra build.
This is one of the greediest builds I've seen out of a Protoss for a while, and it's not even that greedy in comparison to his opponent, which is kind of the crazy situation about all of this. There's a few gateways now being added on at the front to kind of bolster this.
14 Hydralisks. God, that's so much damage output against these Phoenixes.
If he just went Hydra Roach straight, then Hydra Link straight, and just went over there.
I feel like he may just do that here, and that there's no real way to deal with that.
I suppose the Phoenix are going to be the option for him to keep his opponent contained for a little while. But those Hydras are going to pop right underneath this. Oh, run away.
Loses 1, but he gets a queen, so at the very least, he does get something for his troubles. And 4 Phoenixes is still a formidable amount. That's still enough to kill a queen with 1 lift. So 4 Phoenixes is okay. Now, more cannons being added on in.
He needs them.
In random, like there's 2 at the front here, which is very, very nice. This 2 more kind of in the middle of nowhere, which I'm not entirely sure why he's getting those. But overall, this is going to be a hard push to hold 5 cannons. That's so much money in cannons.
Overall, I just think that I like that he's taking the opportunity to just say, well, I'm just going to put pressure on. I don't care about your Phoenix. They're not going to keep me contained all this while. And here come the Hydralists. There's only a few sentries, a few zealots, not much more. Photon Overcharge is going to have to be the saving grace of this army and this position. But even with that, you can just try and put pressure on at the natural.
Yeah, this is really looking rough. There's a lot of sentries there. It's a lot of force fields, but it's not very much damage output. With one of the cannons going down already, a couple Stalkers being warped on in. The Lings are getting on top of the sentries, but they're not able to pick any of them off. The Hydras are still around. This is actually not going all too well for ViOLet, all things considered, but he will start picking off sentries.
The force fields have been patient, right? The force fields have been patient there from Bails to actually buy him enough time to keep himself well and truly bolstered down whilst killing off Lings and separating up this army overall. So technically, the Hydras are actually going to get away with a Muta transition.
This is interesting. I like Mutas off the back of Hydras. I'm not entirely sure how much I like this with the 4 Phoenixes still alive, though. He's going to need to keep the Hydras aggressively postured. Oh, okay. He needs to keep the Hydras aggressively postured, because sometimes if you want to go into like a Muta Corruptor style play off the back of a Ling Hydra push, You can use the Hydras the same way you would use the Corruptors to zone the Phoenixes. This is bad. One Phoenix goes down.
There's another.
Oh, man, that was really bad. Those are his real answer to the mutas.
And they're going to cross the path of some of these mutas. They're so close on the right-hand side. He sees a few of them as well, and if he loses any of these Phoenix to these mutas as they try and swing around on him, oh, dear me.
He's going to lose both, I think. Okay, one survives. There's only one Phoenix left here. There's a lot of Lings on the way now as well. We may just see ViOLet come with a relentless push.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult. That's a lot of Lings hitting extra locations as well, because he's going to have to defend on alternate positions with his Stalkers, with Blink, and he only has the one Phoenix out so far.
Oh, man, that's an Artosis pylon, too. It doesn't look like he'll be able to get it. Oh, but he will get that Phoenix.
The bounces. Oh, get another Phoenix. Oh, any Phoenix he can get is not too bad. He's tracing through with a few of the mutas. The Hydra's pop at the front, but
oh boy,
don't do too much.
13 more mutas on the way. ViOLet's made his choice. He wants to stick with the mutas. And this is going to be really difficult to deal with. There's no fleet beacon. There's no additional Stargates. There's one Phoenix on the map with one Phoenix at a time being produced against what's soon going to be almost 20 mutas. The Hydras are being picked off by these Stalkers, which is really nice. Blink Stalkers do okay against mutas as well. But overall, with this many Lings, that many mutas, I honestly don't think that we can see Bails push in here.
Yeah, I think he's trying to buy some time in the middle of the map and threaten to make sure that the mutas are going to come back. And yes, they are, but I mean, look at the amount of gas he has here. He doesn't have any room for that fleet beacon, as you were mentioning before, which is really going to cause him a lot of problems in the long run. And he also never even got an extra Stargate, even, I should say. So it's going to be very, very limited amount of Phoenix with just Stalkers in support against that many Mutalisks that are doing lots of damage to these mineral lines.
Yeah, and I mean, against no-range Phoenixes, you can micro so well. One goes down already. I mean, the Phoenixes with absolutely perfect, like, computer-level micro still don't take any hits from the mutas, but it's so close to impossible to actually micro that well. At this point, one Stargate does not deal with mutas very well. As somebody who plays mutas a lot, you want 3 Stargates. 2 Stargates is already pushing it. 1, nowhere near enough here.
Yeah, and I think Bails has really had enough of this and tries to push in against this 5th base, but it's not going to work out. The Warp Prism wasn't even with this army, so he's not being able to reinforce as much as he would like. If he could get those Lings in on this army as well, those Stalkers would have a very difficult time, because there's no recall for another 25 seconds.
Yeah, this is... If the Lings actually get on in, the mutas did what they needed to do that engagement. They killed the sentries. There's no more force fields. Next time they fight, the Lings will be getting on in on those Stalkers. As you said, still 15 energy left on that Mothership core. Only 3 Phoenixes. This is going to be so difficult for Bails to make work. Yeah. Here come the Lings.
And the Mutalisks could even go for the Mothership core if they wanted, denying any kind of recall that would occur. The Lings are doing quite a lot to these Stalkers, tanking up some of this damage. And as those numbers fall, the Phoenix are just static in this army as well, trying to hold on. But there's just too much power behind the army here. GG. ViOLet takes game at number 1. Pretty clean cut in the end.
Yeah, that was really rough. As you mentioned, the gas just wasn't really there for Bails to invest in a fleet beacon, invest in more Phoenixes. And when you have that kind of a critical mass of Mutalisks, you need 3 Stargate Phoenix production plus range to really deal with that well.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough there for Bails. And overall, what we saw there was ViOLet have a great economy from the very word go, and Bails being pretty greedy, although gotta commend him on his hold at the 3rd base.
That was very impressive. Patient. Really good force field. Sometimes we see people, especially less experienced players, just panic and just throw down all the force fields, just try to cut the army in half, try to win the fight. But he realized that he had the cannons, he had the defense. The cannons didn't make too much sense to me initially, but sort of paired in with those force fields, they bought enough time for the gateways to finish, a couple warp into Stalkers, and all of a sudden he was fine for then. Bails showing some very patient play, and he played very well. And I feel like if he's not caught so off guard by such a greedy opening, maybe he can make something work.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just looking at the bracket to see what's going on so far. QXC is 2-0 up against Scarlet, which for him is
so impressive.
Yeah, a really impressive performance. And what we've seen from QXC, not only during this qualifier here, but also the previous. I mean, in the previous round, he beat Hook 2-1.
Yeah.
His TVZ and his TVP have been looking absolutely on point as of late. QXC is probably in the best shape he's ever been.
I'm really sad that we're not going to be seeing QXC versus Major if he wins for seeding, because then we get to see kind of the development of QXC in all 3 matchups.
True.
But 2-0 over Scarlet. Scarlet is no slouch in the ZVT matchup. It is kind of her forte. It's her bread and butter. So really impressive out of QXC. But we are counting down to merry-go-round for map number 2 between Bails and ViOLet, where Bails is fighting for his tournament life.
Yeah, he is. And on a map like merry-go-round, it can be difficult for him to get said third base established. So, and we all know what ViOLet can do on a map like merry-go-round. He tried it before against the Terran. Can easily try something equally as aggressive against the Protoss. But overall, he could happily just wait for that third base to try and get up.
Yeah. I would not be too surprised to see Bails try for some kind of a 2-base all-in.
True, true. All right, well, let's get into things. Merry-go-round is our second map, as we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner. It's our red Zerg. It is ViOLet, 1 game up in the moment in this best of 3. And down to the southern position as our blue Protoss. It is Flipside Bails.
Flipside Tactics. I wonder where they came up with that name. It really rolls off the tongue.
They were all skaters. They sang that Avril Lavigne song, and that was it. That's where they came up with the name. Sure, they can pause.
Bails was a skater boy. ViOLet 2-0'd him and said, "See you later, boy."
Oh damn! Oh, you are the worst, Penguin. I can do that. It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
That was the shortest pause of all time.
That was. What did he do?
It wasn't a BlizzCon pause. Oh, I'm joking. I'm joking. We had tech issues. It was sad, but that was way out of our hands. Way out of our hands. But overall, BlizzCon was amazing. BlizzCon was amazing.
It was.
That stage was the best stage I have ever seen in all of esports. Actually, in all of everything I've ever seen a stage on. It was so cool.
I've been to like a lot of shows on like West End and Broadway, and that was the best stage I've seen. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, we have a 10 pool once again.
He loves it. He loves it.
Wow. This is actually going to be really, really cool. 10 pool, more viable versus Protoss than versus Terran. Versus Major, like versus Terran, it's just a gigantic coin flip where you're praying that it's either a 2-Rax or a CC first. And here, there's some more utility to the 10 pool. You can at least try to do something against a player. If you feel like you have better micro control than a player, even if there is a gateway first, which is not going to be the case, you can get something done.
Well, this has played out a bit of a sad way, unfortunately, for Bails.
Yeah.
There is the potential to still hold this off, of course, with great micro.
Basically, we've just seen ViOLet get build order advantages in both games, and this doesn't, as you said, have it by any means mean it's over, but this is going to be tough. On the plus side, Bails is scouting him first. He should see the Lings coming across relatively early, and he'll at least be given some time to mentally prepare for this assault.
Yeah, mentally preparing is exactly what he's going to need. There's going to be extra 4 Lings on the way with this as well. They actually bought a little bit of time, did that probe. Minute details, though.
Oh, this is really important, actually. The probe's going to die, but it kind of shows that it sees the drone going down there, which means it's not just going to be a consistent flood of Zerglings, which we sometimes see. If a Zerg player sees a Nexus first, sometimes they'll just flood Lings, flood slow Lings until they just sort of beat the Protoss into submission. And seeing that hatchery, that drone come down, Bails should know that's not going to be the case.
And very importantly, we actually saw Bails also add on his second pylon right next to this gateway. It can be all too often that you see the extra pylon going down elsewhere to maybe even hide things later on, but you need coverage. Just in case those Lings wanted to run up there and start working on that pylon, you absolutely have to have a Zealot coming out with this soon. But look how many probes. He's losing a lot of mining time with this kind of force.
He's actually doing a really good job buying time. He needs that Zealot to be able to fight these. He's trying to make sure he doesn't lose the Nexus, and he's doing a good job so far, but the Nexus is getting dangerously low. The Zealot's not moving anymore. Oh, he's bringing a few more probes here.
Has a lot of probes. That's probably almost all of them here. He has to try and fight this off. If he saves the Nexus, then more power to him, but loses a few workers in the process. 7 workers have died off so far.
Really good micro out of both sides. You saw Bails mineral tricking the injured workers down to the minerals, but we saw ViOLet focusing them down nonetheless. So really nice micro out of both.
Yeah, and he's going to save the Nexus because there's 2 Zealots out now. You can't really contest this with that many Lings.
He doesn't need to pull these probes anymore. All he needs is the 2 Zealots.
Yep. Pause once again. Here, there was a little bit of lag there that was evident in the movement of those units.
Now, just taking a look around with, this is still my favorite feature of the Heart of the Swarm expansion, that you can actually move around as an observer while paused.
Oh yeah, that was not good drone wall. But
no, but actually we have, provided that these Zealots keep these Lings at bay and they don't kill anything else, a very even situation where we have a natural expansion up for both players. And Bails is actually leaving these probes at the front here. There we go. And now with this mining, we have 19 workers over on ViOLet's side compared to 22 here for Bails. Bails just going to continue chronoing them out. The biggest loss for him is the huge delay in cybernetics core timing. Oh, this hurts too. Probes. Oh, this is really rough here.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's causing the lag. And that being said, I wonder if is ViOLet even playing from America? I knew he before was not there in the previous qualifier when Polt was playing, because we were just like, well, Polt, just go and wake him up, but then he couldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
These Lings continuing to do a ton of damage here, up to 9 workers killed. They're getting way more done than they ever really should.
Oh.
Getting a full surround on the Zealot is nice.
Micro. The Micro. He actually only lost 1 Zergling to that. That was sick.
And with already injured Zerglings, that's so impressive there from ViOLet.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do.
And he's going to try and get even more probes. If he can get a few more, that's nice. The tasers come into effect, and probes get 3 or 4 kills on those Zerglings for the cost of 1 probe. That's okay to deny the annoyance of that overall.
Yeah, and at this point now, Bails can rest assured that he has some time to just kind of chill out and do his own thing. The biggest problem that we had was the delay on the Cybercore, but that has been alleviated. He didn't continue panicking and not make that. We do have the Cybercore complete. We have the Warp Gate technology on the way. We have a Mothership Core on the way. And with no Speedling follow-up or anything like that, Bails is not going to be falling victim to any kind of follow-up timing.
So, can normalize things from here on out. A few extra gateways being added on at the front, which have instantly been spotted here by ViOLet, but during all of this, he's got his 3rd hatchery on the way. So, he should be able to catch up pretty nicely in that drone count. As we said, he knows this matchup. Well, I mean, he knows StarCraft pretty well. So, getting this Roach Warrant down as well, he should be pretty fine considering everything that's gone on. Wow, look at this. Bails is so eager to make sure that this wall-off is constructed after bringing down that debris a little bit.
I like it because the way I see, like the way Bails is playing, it's like he doesn't want to die to something cheap. He wants a chance to really show that he is good enough to play with the best, and he doesn't want to just kind of die outright to something really stupid like having those really injured rocks knocked down. I mean, with only 78 health in the debris, there was a big possibility that that could happen. I mean, overall, we do have a Forge and a Robo coming up. That Robo is late enough that I feel like we'll be seeing a 3rd base come out of here. And Bails just really wants a chance to show himself playing a macro game against a player like ViOLet. I mean, if you do take a game against ViOLet in a macro game, that really shows that you are a really good player. It's really good for your reputation.
Too true, too true. But in the end, what's happening here is we're seeing this small poke out with even a pylon down from Bails, who's looking to exert some pressure, probably to force out some units, but units were already being forced out before anyway, because look at how many roaches are on the way as well as Zerglings. There will be an Immortal out pretty soon, because he is chrono boosting into it, but if all of his army gets caught out in the middle of the map, what's he going to do?
Oh, this is terrible. This is really bad. Does he recall? But if he recalls, there's no photon overcharge.
Oh, and he loses a sentry on the first unit to go down, so this wall is going to get breached. The small army on the left-hand side has to recall back, but that means he doesn't have energy for photon overcharge. He's going to have very few units here to really hold on.
Oh, the sentry with the force field is a little bit late. He's going to lose the 2nd sentry, too. Oh, he doesn't even get the force field off. That Immortal is worth its weight in gold right now, but the extra Lings are doing a lot of damage to it over on the side. Another bit of a lag spike. Overall, this position, there's still 8 Roaches in there and 7 Zerglings, too, against basically a Stalker, a Zealot, and an Immortal here.
Yeah, that's looking rough. Can you quickly check the bracket for me, Penguin, just in case to see who would be actually playing against if this was to go on? It's going to be basically
Kelazur or the versus the winner of Scarlet or Hyoxi versus Kelazur.
Well, back into this now as that Immortal is so important, as you were mentioning before, and does have a good force field actually protecting it.
Really
able
nice
to shut down those Roaches, but they're going to get on top of it. Those 2 Lings. Oh dear.
Oh, so close to actually saving it one more time. Bails here is in a world of hurt. He's already down by 18 workers. These Roaches are almost dead, but they're not quite dead yet, and there's not that much damage output. Good force field coming on down. Allows the Zealot to get the killing blow and a couple more. The Stalker should be able to clean up the rest, and another Immortal is out. Bails holds. He's in a world of hurt, but that was a very impressive hold, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and in the end, I mean, what has that resulted in? It's resulted in a lot of extra drones being produced during that kind of assault, with extra links being made after those drones to shut down these pylons, making sure that his opponent can't put on pressure, and then those links could happily just go and deny a 3rd base, because there really isn't that much army here for Bails. It's a rocky road, my friend, a rocky road.
Yeah, at this point, I almost feel like he has to go for a 2-base timing, but he just he hasn't prepared for one. He's adding in the extra gateways now to take himself up to about 6 gates, but I think it still feels to me like he wants to take that third, but he knows he needs some more units before he can actually go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, there's a 4th on the way for ViOLet.
Jeez, he is.
Oh god,
relentless.
these units don't want to be where they are.
There isn't even that much firepower against Lings alone. Only 2 Zealots in with that. The force fields would have had to have gone down, and then any kind of forward push he would have done would have been completely rendered very, very useless by the fact that he didn't have any in the forward push. So retreats back, saves that fire force for a little bit longer, gets the Warp Prism out with it. A few more gateways going to finish up, but ViOLet bought himself tons of time again.
He did, and we are going to be seeing an all-in follow-up here from Bails. He knows at this point he's given ViOLet too much time. If he tries to take a third on this map especially, it will die. He needs to go for a 2-base push, and it's not a great position to be in at all. 3 Immortals is the main firepower here. He's also sitting on 7 sentries. Some more Stalkers being added in as well. But you're not going up against a Roach-heavy force here. You're going up against a whole lot of Ling Hydra. And with 8 more Hydras in production here, and we already have a +1 Carapace nearing completion, there will be an upgrade lead here for the Protoss player, but that's about the only advantage that Bails has moving forward.
And he's going towards a base on a location that just actually doesn't exist. So his opportunity to hit in the right place at the right time has gone by far. ViOLet is going to set up a great concave and push in from... I mean, basically the force fields are going to have to be perfect. That is what is going to be required here from Bails during this.
Look how spread out these units are. You can't even cover a zoomed out screen with them.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult. This is a very, very strong force. He's had so much time. Here come the Lings from the right-hand side, wrapping around this army. And the force fields aren't really doing a huge amount. They're holding a lot of the Hydralisks at bay on this top left-hand side, actually killing off those Zerglings before the Hydralisks were able to get into the fight. So the force fields didn't do too badly here for Bails, but it's still not going to be enough. One of the Immortals trying to micro and in that Warp Prism, keep that alive.
All 3 of those Immortals are still alive. And, I mean, cost efficiency-wise, this has been good for Bails. But the thing is, ViOLet can afford to trade like this. Yeah. All he has to do is defeat this army, and he wins the game. The Warp Prism's focused down, no more micro there, and it's crushed the force here. Bails will lose 2-0 here against ViOLet, unfortunately for our American representative. ViOLet showing he was just a class above in those 2 games.
Yeah, tough stuff there, unfortunately, for Bails. But ViOLet advances on now to the winner's match in the lower bracket, which means that he is 1 series away from advancing on, and it's going to be either against Kelzahor, Scarlet, or QXC, depending on the result of QXC, Scarlet, etc. So that means we basically now have to wait for the results of QXC and Scarlet to find out who's going to be playing against Kelzahor. We'll cast that game, and then we'll go on to cast the final game of the night. So we have guaranteed 2 more series left.
Fantastic. And, I mean, Kelazor has already had a pretty cool run himself. I mean, he's looked really, really solid. He started the day out with a loss 2-1 against QXC. We talked before about how QXC is in fine, fine form. He took a game off QXC, then went on to 2-0 Puck and Suppy, who are 2 of the most established American players in the scene. So don't count out our Brazilian representative yet, because he's really in good form today.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see him play.
Neither can I. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right, so let's get to a short break, and then when we're back, we'll have more action from the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose Qualifier.